You're watching Cox Connections on Cox 9. I'm Kim Stanley. Cox Conserves started as a company-wide initiative to reduce carbon emission. It now encompasses other areas of conservation. For example, the Cox e-waste recycling event held this past April. The Roanoke Cox Conserves team has been working to help the company as a whole reach its goal of reducing its carbon footprint by 20%. Here to tell us more are Project Management Specialist Jennifer Bowman and Field Services Supervisor Ted Williams. Thanks for coming in today. Jennifer, Ted, good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you talk to us a little bit about the Cox Conserves team, and you two are members of that team, and why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, Kim, our goal is really, as a company, is to reduce our carbon footprint, our greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2017 by 20%.
Okay. And so recently, Cox held an e-waste event in April. Talk to us a little bit about what is an e-waste event and where did we have it and the success of that event.
We held it down at the Roanoke Civic Center. This was our second annual event, and it was to collect pretty much anything with a plug, any electronics. We took some things with batteries, just non-alkaline batteries. We had over 1,000 cars show up for 45 different zip codes around the area, and we filled 7 semi-trucks.
Wow. And now this was the second event.
Yes.
So Cox had one last year.
Correct.
Okay.
Last January.
How did that compare?
Well, last year's was a two-day event, and we had over 1,800 cars, and we ended up collecting 121 tons of e-waste. We're not going to know the actual tonnage from this event until the end of May because we're still offering free pickup to business customers that have more than a truckload of e-waste. So hopefully by the beginning of June we'll know the actual tonnage.
Okay, so really the e-waste recycling is still going on. Businesses can still call and get a free pickup?
They can call, or they can go to our website at www.celebrateroanoke.com. And there's a large load form there that they need to complete and just submit. Once they submit it, we'll get it scheduled with our partner, Synergy Recycling.
Okay, so through May, they can get a free pickup.
Through
That's
the end of May.
That's wonderful. So in addition to e-waste, a lot going on there, but Ted, there's also some things going on. You're out in the field, you're over all the technicians, they're out in the Roanoke Valley, but we're doing some great things. Cox Conserves is doing some great things as it relates to some other programs.
Absolutely. One of the things that we really pride ourselves in here in Roanoke is our reduction of idle time for the techs. We have GPS units in all the tech vans, and we're able to monitor that time that the techs idle based off the GPS units. And by doing that, we're able to reduce the amount of idle minutes. And as an example, from 2008 to 2009, we reduced over 32,000 minutes just in Roanoke alone. And when you multiply that across all Cox systems, it really starts to build up as far as what you can save. 1 gallon of gas is equal to 1 hour of idle time. Wow. So when you reduce it by, as an example, 32,000 minutes, we reduced over 500 gallons of fuel in 1 year. And if you multiply that across all systems, it really starts to add up.
Yeah, it does. So let's talk about idle time, just to make sure our viewers really understand that. So our Cox truck goes to a customer site?
Yeah, that is correct. If a Cox van shows up to the site and they're sitting there in the van and they're trying to get their work orders together and the truck is running, it's time that is sitting idle, where the van's not actually moving. And so by reducing that time really helps us reduce the overall carbon footprint. So the techs have gotten used to when they pull up to a customer site, they shut the engine down, they do their work, and then they turn the engine back on and leave, as opposed to letting it run while they sit there and do their work.
Okay, all right, great. Well, what else is the company doing to, you've got this goal, reduce the carbon footprint by 20% by 2017. E-waste is great, reduction of idle time. What else is the company doing?
Well, we started a recycling program in-house about 3 years ago, where we got feedback from our employees about what they wanted to do, what they thought was, important environmentally, and overwhelmingly the response was recycling. So we began recycling in-house to just collect aluminum and plastics 1 and 2. And then we partnered with our corporate office, and we're able to get a recycling trailer that's been sitting in our bottom parking lot for almost 3 years now, and it's open for the community to use. We recycle plastics 1 and 2, and that's where at the bottom of a piece of plastic you can see a triangle, and it'll have a number inside. 1 and 2 are the ones that we collect here, aluminum and mixed paper, and we've had overwhelming response from the community for that.
Yeah, I know, it's really gotten me into recycling, and my children are doing it, yeah, and it is being used. Like you said, it's at the bottom of the Cox parking lot here, in Roanoke, and I'll go, and it amazes me how full it is. I mean, it's just really exciting to see that.
It is. Initially, we started out with scheduling pickups for it to be emptied every 2 weeks, and now it's twice a week.
Okay.
Because the community has really responded. And I've talked to several people that come by there when I'm out taking a walk in the morning, and they're so grateful to have it here in an area that's clean and open, and they can just drive up and empty their recycling.
Well, why is it important for companies like Cox to do things like this?
Well, Kim, we pride ourselves on being a really good corporate citizen, and it's really important to us to give back to the community.
Besides that, we produce a service or provide a service that's cutting edge technology, and we're aware that this is something that we do, and we think it's important for us to be responsible and not negligent with our environment, especially since we live here too.
Well, what else can we expect from Cox Conserves in the future?
A couple of things that we're doing corporate-wide, or one specific thing is we're partnering with Bloom Energy out in California to help reduce our carbon footprint. So it's kind of in the test stages now, but as it's an alternative energy source that we can use to help reduce it.
Okay. I think that was in the paper about a month or so ago.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing is we were very fortunate to have several great partners on the e-waste event. We had the Roanoke Valley Cool Cities Coalition, Clean Valley Council, in addition to the Roanoke City and the Civic Center. But what we're trying to do in return, because they gave us volunteers to help us with the event, is to volunteer for their projects and their programs as well. That helps us interface with them, with other like-minded organizations in the Valley, as well as help get our word out.
That's great. So it's not just a Cox. I mean, it really takes a community.
It does. It does.
Great. That's great. Now, how can businesses take advantage of the things that we've already learned here at Cox Conserves, and what can they do?
Just start. There's so much information out on websites and newspapers and programs like this. You just really need to take that first step. Encourage your children to recycle as you're doing with your boys. Talk it up at work. One thing that really worked for us here, and this says a lot about our people, is we have contests. And we ask questions, we have quizzes, we have competition, and employees seem to eat that up, and they really gravitate towards that. And just start integrating it as part of a lifestyle.
Okay. Start including the employees, but start doing things that you can do, that you can accomplish.
Yeah, and don't overwhelm yourself with too many things, because then that ends up just being frustrating for you. But little things like the recycling, or turning lights out.
Good.
Kim, it's really, Cox has a really good website that they can Google Cox Conserves. And go out there, and there's plenty of tips about being green at home, being green at work, and even when you travel. So that's a great place to start.
That's great. Jennifer, Ted, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you for watching Cox Connections. Before you go, I want to personally thank you for choosing Cox Communications for your entertainment, information, and communication needs. We know you could have chosen another provider, but because you chose us, we promise to provide you with quality products backed up by a talented local team of professionals. I'm Kim Stanley, and I'll see you next time on Cox Connections.